Good morning, guys. Good morning. Hopefully, you guys all had a super nice weekend, a safe weekend at that. Small little gap up in the S&P 500. I had a really nice weekend, man. It was like 50 degrees at home, so I was golfing yesterday. Google, very, very incredible. And this thing's gapping up 412 this morning. Wow, NVO. Just can't get a whole lot worse. So one of the things that I was looking at, they actually have a custom filter for dollar volume. But yeah, I could keep messaging them if there's like anything else that you think might be needed. We looked at this, I think, last week. Let me just triple check, man. I don't know. I'll be here looking for a minute. There's a lot of filters, but yeah, they don't have dollar volume for the month. Yeah, that's correct. Do I think fiber optics is the next sector to go? Here's one of the things about my trading style. I don't ever want to assume what's one of the next sectors to go. I mean, I see like CIEN, right? I see Corning, GLW. So I'm pretty sure GLW does fiber optics. We can't say it's the next sector to go. It's been going, right? Like what was fiber optics doing in here? This certainly looks like fiber optics was already going. So, can we say it's the next sector to go? From what it looks like to me, it looks like the next sector to go or keep going is healthcare, pharmaceuticals, and biotech, right? My job is never to try to think too far ahead in the future. What is the strongest right now and get in line with it, right? Forget about, thinking too far ahead in the future. If I look at Corning, this doesn't look like it's ready to go at the moment. This right-hand side of the base is very, very sloppy. It's a high followed by a, whoops, why can't I get a line in here? There's a high, there's a lower high, and there is another lower high right there. So it doesn't, and that's fiber optics. So, right, that doesn't look ready to go when it continues to build lower highs. Were there any actionable setups on Google the past few days? Yes, there was. And I had this one on the watch list right in here. It was right over this day's high. Right over 11.18's high. I thought it looked good coming out of this little tight setup after it held the 20. Right? Coming out of this high type flag. I didn't think that needing to wait all the way for a break of 11.17 was necessary. And had you bought on this day and then set your stop at low of day, you would have been fine. Oh, my feel isn't that there's a sector rotation into healthcare stocks. There is 100% a rotation into healthcare, biotechnology, and pharmaceuticals. Right? Yeah, it's not my feel. That's legitimately what's going on. How long it lasts for I have no clue, right? But again, your job is not to have any clues. You don't have to know how long that rotation takes place for. What you need is a clean setup that you understand, an entry tactic that you understand, a good day to buy it, and then a clean entry tactic. And then a 3 to 5 day push for you to trim into that strength. And then you'll be able to hold the rest on ascending moving averages. At one point in the NQ chart, will you say to yourself, the pullback is over, let's get back to breakouts? You know what for me, what the NQ needs is it needs a follow through day. Right? Then at that point, I could say the pullback's over. For all I know, this is just going to continue to build lower highs here as well until we get a follow through day. If we get a follow through day, then, party back on. Does this market remind me of any times in the past? Not really. Right? What we were coming off of in 2021 was quite different than this too. Narrow breath for sure, but yeah, INSM, that one's been a leader for, a while now. Yeah, but INSM has no setup here, not in my opinion. There's nothing tight, in this chart. It's already made a huge move and now it needs a base. Do you see like this move that this thing's made? Because it was coming out of such a, big base here. That's what happens. You go up, and then you go sideways for a long time. And then when you break out of that consolidation, then you go up, and you go sideways, and then you go up, and you go sideways. That's how charts move. Charts do the same thing over and over and over and over and over and over and over. And yeah, INSM just happened to be in a great group. That's why it, kept going up and going up and going up. They go up, they go sideways. They go up, they go sideways. INSM and NTRA. Amazing. Yeah, this one has a high volume close setup through like 123.59. Looks good. It's another one that looks pretty good. Scott, I don't know what you're talking about here. Healthcare and news catalysts. You're going to have to repeat that. I don't know what you're trying to say. Any setups in the home builders? No, there's none. Right? Pulte. I mean, I noticed the update on Friday. Just one update doesn't make a trend. Trend at the moment is down. Nice job holding the 200. Right? Trend isn't really up. It's pretty much done nothing over the last 200 days. I'll give home builders a little bit of credit, but you haven't missed anything if these things are going to go into an uptrend. LEN, Toll. So speaking of, let me change this for a second. Thoughts on Meta? Pretty beat up. Also, are you waiting for a follow through day? Yeah, I'm waiting for a follow through day in the market. And my thoughts on Meta are you should leave it alone. Right? Why do you need to own this thing when it's below the falling 200 simple moving average? The simple answer is you don't. There's absolutely no reason for you to focus any of your life or attention on Meta. If it's going to go higher, it'll be back above the 200 simple. You see how stress-free Google has been? See how stress-free this thing has been since it gapped up, or since it got above its 200 simple moving average and then consolidated? See how stress-free this has been? This doesn't look stress-free. This doesn't look stress-free. This looks like it could get worse. And I don't know if it will or if it won't, but it doesn't look good. It's not where swing trades are born. You don't need the lowest price. You need the right price. LITE is a little bit loose in here. A little bit loose. I liked it right in here. It was nice and tight. Right? Nice and tight right through here. It's kind of how I viewed that one. Things were heck of a lot tighter in there than they are in here. This is very sloppy. But a lot of it has to do with the market. GSAT, Global Star Satellite. Yeah, I mean, maybe today's a higher low setup. Yeah, maybe there's a chance we reverse off this 200. But yeah, TEM probably best to be bought on these kind of pullbacks, into ascending moving. I mean, I don't hate it. Maybe if it takes out Thursday's highs, could be interesting. Yeah, these kind of look like the exact same charts too, especially recently. Yeah, I don't know. Momentum's not really there, but holding on to that 200 simple moving average. I like ISRG. I don't think it's too late. This thing's not really moving at the moment. Again, just a little sloppy here. There are others that I think are looking a little bit cleaner, like MedP, for instance. I think that looks a little cleaner. GMed, I think, looks a little cleaner. A little extended from the 50, but I use the Bill O'Neill definition of a follow-through day. Right? Market gives you a low, then it floats higher for 2 to 3 days, and then on the third or the fourth day, you get a 1% up move, or I think it's like a 1% up move in the market with a pickup in volume. Right? So it's not my definition, it's Bill O'Neill's. And since I root most of my trading under CanSlim, like that's like the foundation of my swing trading. I use that as my definition. And I've had instances where that waiting for that has made tons of sense. And you see the power behind it when you're focused on the right things, before that follow through day. But you're focused on those right things because you've scanned the market. I have no clue. Serenity, my job is literally to not care about things like this. I do not care if Tesla makes a new low before it turns back up. Right? None of that matters. What matters is the momentum's not there at the moment, and it's below the 50 simple moving average. Right? That's all that really matters. So there's no setup here for me to enter. So what's the entry tactics that I've studied? What are the chart patterns that I'm familiar with? What does momentum look like? Where is money actually going? And this doesn't really meet any of those criteria at the moment. Yeah, this is a nice one. GRAL. Yeah, this one looks good. Very good. Don't know if it keeps going, but it looks good. Nah, thoughts on mean reversion plays on crypto names? I don't know exactly what crypto names you're talking about, but like I look at Mara and this looks like absolute shit. I mean, I'm sure it bounces for a few days at some point, but do I really want to own a name that's like just doing this? You know what I mean? And I'm also already short iron. Yeah, I looked at this one yesterday. My only slight issue with it is the fact that it, trades only 31 million bucks a day. Scott, you got to give me a few names. I don't know if that's going to be like United Health, right? Because if it's United Health, it still doesn't look that good. Molina Health still doesn't look that good. Yeah, Carvana looks like it can slip into stage 4 as soon as it gets below the 200 simple moving average. Yep. Yeah, Aaron, that's very true. People rushing into names and looking for tons of exposure in these kind of choppy markets is a huge mistake. It's how you end up giving back a bunch of progress that you had during the easy periods, right? The job right now is not to get fully invested so quickly. If the market gives you a follow through day, you put on exposure. And then if the market gives you a continuation of setups and like a proliferation of setups, then you can go ahead and add more. Any tips on smaller 5-figure account, more trades per month or bigger position size? Bigger position size, more thoughtful trades. You don't need more trades. Historically, 90% of day traders are going to get their ass kicked. So there's just no reason to be a day trader. No, I'm not going to be buying Google on an opening range break today. But yeah, it's obvious how well it's acting. I mean, it feels like this thing's trying to go to $5 trillion as a market cap too. Apparently the TPUs that they use are awesome. So yeah, I another day it seems like we got to mostly monitor the open and wait for setups. Yeah, I don't know that today is necessarily the day for setups. We don't have we can't, but per the rules, and they would just be waiting for a follow through day. We can't have a follow through day today. So there's really nothing to do until maybe tomorrow or Wednesday. I mean, maybe there is something to do. If the market stages a follow through day, maybe there's something to do. I just don't really see it at the moment. Yeah, I don't exactly know. That seems like that would probably be a if it's not allowing a Hotmail email address, you probably have to look for it's a WAP thing, I think. I'm not sure. That's not me who takes them. It's WAP. When I look at something like MNPR, nice chart too. I'm assuming this is like Biotech. Not surprised, man. Biotech has just been crushing it too. It was very tight on Thursday. Yeah, Friday not so bad. Problem with MNPR is what? Can you answer it for me? Trades $13 million a day. Too thin. Yeah, NAMS, not bad. Not bad. Yeah, a little thin. Little thin. Surprise, surprise. Another biotechnology. Funny how the best looking charts are all in the same group. I mean, that should like literally set off a light bulb in your head. What would you say is my biggest strength as a trader? Ability to scan the market? Yeah, that's one of them. Also, my ability to be patient with my winners. My situational awareness, like knowing when is a good time to enter something and when is not. But yeah, that's one of them. I mean, but scan the market isn't all that crazy, right? You just need to build some scanners, and something like FinViz can be super helpful. Uh, Tesla could technically be considered a failed breakout for now. IRWD, that looks like nothing for now. Also trades sub $10 million, so that's a definite no. APPN, this one's a little bit better. This one has a high volume close at 36 or 38.36. This one looks a little bit better. Glue is just too thin. Man, some of these stocks. Biotech, though, we shouldn't be too surprised, man. And then this, what'd you say? APPN, software infrastructure. Yeah, Glue looks a lot like those biotechs. Does GLD look ready to push? I mean, decision time looks like it's coming up soon. I don't know how this thing can get any friggin' tighter. Let's look at gold futures. Yeah, same deal. I mean, I don't know that this thing can get any tighter. It's almost time for it to pick a direction. We're either going to, break this series of higher lows, or, we're going to start to break upwards here. Some stock have very good dollar volume and daily setup, but price is very choppy and wide spreads. I just leave it alone. If price is choppy, I just leave it alone. Or there's 12 other 1,000 stocks you can focus on. ALL, Allstate. Yeah. And then, I mean, I don't really, like what this chart looks like. Also, it moves 1.88% per day. Yeah, good base. You also have CB, which is another insurer too. Big base. These things are just too slow. Yeah, there's no real trades going into today. Today is a good day to track relative strength, but not trade it. Unless, of course, you're focused on healthcare, biotech, or pharmaceuticals. And even then, right, there's just not many setups. There's like a couple. Right? Like the only, I mean, there's like a steel name too. Like STLD is pretty interesting. MedP is, pretty interesting. This isn't necessarily true. This is just the people you've heard of, myself included, on social media. Yeah, the best swing traders didn't start off as day traders. That's not necessarily true. That's just what you hear on X. And the reason that they gravitate to swing trading is because there's much bigger money to be made there. But everybody almost starts off as a day trader when when you have no understanding for the market, you're just looking at money and you just want to take it off the table. It's that impulse of just wanting to be green, is more powerful than wanting to be patient. So when you hear that, like, the best swing traders made their initial capital doing high risk intraday trading, that's because they didn't know any better. If they had known better, right? Like, if I were to say to myself, man, if I could go back in time, I wish I would have been a swing trader in 21. I would have made so much more money. Cardinal Health. Yeah, this thing is just a monster. Gave a high volume close on 10:30 and just straight up ever since. Yeah, NXT. I mean, this is like the, first real visit of, I like NXT down here. Super move. Yeah, this probably just has to take out a prior channel. So if this thing were to take out, like Thursday's highs, this could be good. How do I overcome the fear of holding over the weekend? You shouldn't have any fear if you have a cushion. That's it. I mean, it's if you don't have a cushion, or if you don't have a cushion and you have too much size, then you're going to be fearful. But like if you have a cushion and you bought it on Tuesday, what does it make a difference what it's doing on Friday? Especially if you have a cushion. The Real, this is a clothing name, right? Yeah, not bad. Could be a high or low setup off the 20. KO was nice. I was looking at this one on Friday, just too slow. Yeah, I was looking at this one going into Friday, just way too slow. Right, 1.4% per day. I'd like to make money before this decade ends. Wayfair, a little sloppy here, but looks like it's in an uptrend to me. I don't really see a spot for me to get involved personally, though. No, I don't, but maybe I can make one sometime, going over kind of my view on stage analysis, which I love, by the way. You bought COGT on the 19th? Oh, you bought it out of a very tight day. And COGT is a biotechnology. Why am I not surprised? DNTH. I mean, not an ugly chart, a little thin. That's all. Biotechnology. Are we surprised? I mean, how many times are we going to bring up biotechnology charts? At this point, it should be fairly obvious that that's where money is going, right? Like you guys are naturally pulling up charts and asking about charts, and the best looking ones just happen to be in the same groups. That should be a light bulb moment as we're talking about these things in real time. Yeah, I like the turtle trader strategy. And they're buying when price is going back through a key moving average. I think that's awesome. Yeah, with biotechs, it's a little tricky because you can get caught in nasty gap downs. So that normally, like, that if it's happened before, it kind of, takes you away from wanting to trade those names again. No, I mean my cutoff is like 80 million. I normally can't ever really get situated in stocks with like less than $80 million of. It's just like it's not even worth trying. Um, I played iron as a pop failure on Thursday against the 50 day, right? 52 and a half. I covered some on Friday, and that was it for me. I shorted some right in here. I don't know that it's too late, but it's already made a pretty big move down. Well, at the time when you decide to buy, it's like first you notice a clean technical setup, then you notice that there's a few stocks within the group that are acting well. then you notice that the market is still doing okay and that you're buying this thing on a day in which the market's going up, right? And that gives you the best opportunity to catch this little bit of a trend here. I haven't become more conservative. It's just harder to do triple digit returns as your account gets a little bigger. And my returns 2 years ago were triple digits. Last year was an 8-figure year. So, I don't know how many of these guys competing in the USIC are actually making $10 million. So I'd love to see it personally. So yeah, and I wouldn't say I've become more conservative. It's just I just in certain environments can't get fully invested. That's just it. It just is what it is. Right? It's not that I'm totally conservative. I just here's the thing. You know what they say? You only need to get wealthy once, then you need to keep it. Right? And I do just fine. I don't need to try and push the envelope every single day. I know many guys who make triple digits in a year, but they might just be trading with $1 million account. It's a whole lot easier to do to make triple digits on $1 million. Some traders are buying and selling pre-market of last Friday based on Friday's highs and lows. No, I mean, okay, so there's actually a study done that buying the close and selling the open is much more profitable than buying the open and selling the close. In other words, if you buy at the close and then you sell on the gap up, it ends up making way more money than if you buy that gap up and then hold it until the close. It ends up being a whole lot choppier. So you think the edge in swing trade, it depends what your edge is for day trading, but the amount of money that can be made as a swing trader is much larger than that can be made as a day trader. Right? If it weren't, Stan Druckenmiller would be a day trader, but he's not. Yeah, retail names are still buyable. It depends which ones, though. Some clothing stocks are holding up really, really well. Like, I don't know if any of you guys noticed, like Ross Stores on Friday. That's a gorgeous gap up on high volume. TJ Maxx looks really good too. All-time closing high. AEO has been holding in there pretty well. So yeah, clothing stocks. Yeah, drug is getting tight. Drug is a biotech. Bright Minds Biosciences. Yeah, it's getting tight. No earnings and sales though. No sales at all. No earnings. When you look at charts like this, Liquid, you have to figure out how much cash they have on hand. Otherwise, you can get hit in an offering. And if you look at their shares outstanding, it's grown every single year since 2020. So how does their share size grow every single year when they make no money? That means they're diluting. Yes, it's still going up, but you can just get caught in an offering. Is that really what you want? Or you have to know their PDUFA date, or you have to know, not to mention this thing trades 10 million bucks a day. I mean, 5%. I would never put more than 5% of my account into any one singular biotech. Yeah, I just saw NVO gapping down this morning. Yeah, I don't like to trade bios very often. I would prefer to trade like LabU, which is the ETF. I thought LabU actually had a nice setup going into 812. And then I know Nick in the room, he bought this thing on this gap fill right down here against this level on 11.7. Super impressive entry. What percent of my portfolio do I risk per trade? Less than 0.5%. Where can I find resources to learn how to trade? Books and resources? Google. I mean, you got Bill O'Neill, you got Mark Minervini, you got Stan Weinstein, you got a bunch of great books. You got Marcel Link. I mean, you got so many. There's just like, an unlimited amount of trading books out there. The question becomes is like which one resonates with you. You got Gil Morales. I mean, you got tons. You have what set are you looking at for quick infos and stats on these stocks? You got a couple options. You got Deep View, you got Market Surge, you got FinViz. I was just using FinViz there. I'll post a link on my X page sometime. So I personally love FinViz, and they are doing a Black Friday, and I'm not associated with FinViz in any way, so they're not paying me to say that. But they're doing like 50% off their Black Friday for any of their elite users, and it is a very clean way to scan the market. I built pretty much all of my scanners, whether it be on Thinkorswim or on FinViz. So, yeah, you could try buying the first touches of the 20 or 50 simple moving average. That could work too, right? It's just a matter of timing those entries up. But yeah, those setups can definitely work as well. Have you subscribed to any paid tools since you started trading? Oh yeah. Yeah, I use Trade Exchange. I use I use a lot. Trade Exchange. I use my like trade tracking software so that I can like look up all my stats. I use FinViz. Um, I also pay for another charting software through TradingView. What else do I use? I use another trader tracking software, TradeZella. Um, what else do I use? There's got to be more. I'd have to think about it, but yeah, I feel like there's quite a few things. You don't really need any of it, by the way. It's not, you know, um, it's not necessary. But no, I'm not out of my SNDK short. Why would I be out of this short? For what it's worth, I covered some at 290 or 195, excuse me, and I'm just still sitting there. Right? No big deal. I know it's gapping up another $6 this morning, but there's really, I'm out half my position. There's really nothing left for me to do here. No matter what, it'll end up being a nice trade. Data subscription recommendations. A scanning software is really helpful. So again, Market Surge, Deep View, FinViz. I also have a Deep View, so that I forgot to mention that one. But I do it one because I think it's a good scanning software. But two, I like to support the buddies, which is Richard, Nick Schmidt, Amit Rai. So just to be supportive, of what they built. I like FinViz a lot, right? That's probably I've been using it for a whole lot longer, so I'm most familiar with it, and I like that. I'm in communication with the people at FinViz. Like if I want something built, I can ask them, and they can try to get that built for me. So I'm sure I know I could ask Nick probably the same thing over at Deep View, but very very helpful. Um, But any recommendations? I mean, it depends the kind of trading you want to do. But yeah, scanning software is probably, the most important, I would say. A charting software. I know some people really like TC2000. I know some people really like Trading View. It depends. If something's really ripping through my key level, which might be like a prior day high, I'll just buy it right away. Yeah, TMO in the right sector. Yeah. Just, a little slow, but yeah, looks good. This market is not that similar to the tariff turndown. No. I also don't know that there is like news in place. Look, it's not to say that the market can't have much bigger down moves, but it doesn't really feel the same. That's right. And MSTR made for a really good short too. I wouldn't think too much about like ADR percentage versus ATR percentage. It's not that big a deal. I mean, ATR is really good when a stock's then gapping up a lot overnight, but don't make that that you only need one. Right? You don't need to have every single key metric. I think it's like overkill at some point. Sure, of course. Swing traders' capital is tied up for much longer. That's the whole idea, right? That's the whole idea. Okay, so and I give this good example. Okay, here you go. So here's your day trader, right? A day trader sees this breakout in Robinhood and buys it. A swing trader sees this breakout in Robinhood and buys it. All right. A swing trader buys it, sets his stop at low of day. A day trader buys it, sells it all before the day is closed. He made his $2 a share. The next day trader tries to get in, chops himself up because the chart is very choppy. The next day tries to get in, chops himself up because the chart is very choppy. Right? You see the point? And now all of a sudden by day 3, he's basically given back a nice sizable amount of his gains because he's day trading these candles, which ended up being super, super sloppy. The swing trader is just sitting here because it's closing green every single day. And then the day trader ends up chopping himself up to pieces that by day 4, he's just leaving this chart alone. And really, the day trader is in here chopping himself up throughout this sideways move. The swing trader is just sitting there as this thing is just surfing the 20 simple moving average. See the difference? Day trader plays it for this move, makes money, has really no more opportunities to play it for moves intraday because it's just a living hell to play this crap. But a swing trader could sit through all this because his entry was down here. You tell me. You tell me what looks like a better trade. Catching it for one day or catching it for a 150% move until it broke the 50-day. Yeah, Netflix, I'm already short. So there's nothing else for me to do with Netflix. I don't know. I think it's a little bit too late here. So I shorted it on the day. It gapped just below the 200-day. And it's working really well. I think this one ends up probably at $80 sooner rather than later. Why does a follow-through day make sense? Because then at least the market is trying to tell you it's done going down, right? That should make a lot of sense. I suggest you study follow-through days and then stocks that made moves on or at right around follow-through days. Go back to end of October 2023, and then you could pull up the charts DEC, ANET, AMD, and DEC, ANET, AMD, and which one am I missing? DEC, ANET, AMD, and what was the other one? Oh, and Netflix. We were just talking about it. That's why I blanked on it. So yeah, Netflix, AMD, Deck, and Netflix. ANET. Yeah, those are really good to study. All different industry groups, all taking off right around the same time. The MACD, those are just arrows. It's just a histogram. My settings are 6 for the slow, or sorry, 20 for the slow, 9 for the fast, 9 is the signal. Any recommendation material on selling, on short selling? Yeah. Short Selling with the O'Neill Disciples by Gil Morales. Guys, much love. I will talk to you guys bright and early tomorrow morning. Hopefully, you guys have a great rest of your trading day. Got to get the stream started. Much love. Hope you guys have a super safe trading day out there. Any questions, you guys can message me on X, or if you guys are in the room, you guys know how to find me. Take care, guys.